here. Welcome back, gentlemen. Okay, so we're discussing a few things in the break. But the question I left with you before we went for the break was, how does one's faith help him in a time like this? Now, Pastor Eddie, you were saying something about how churches were built in the here in the past, and the relationship of church to the people and stuff like that. Tell us about that, and also the impact it had on the society, and then where we've got into today.
Well, if you look at, we all know that, the gospel came from one of the parts is Holland, England, all those places.
Yeah.
But if you look how faith was exercised then, you had a church built in the middle of the city or the village, wherever. It was there like a place of refugee. That means that they were looking for a place to hide when there were storms, waters, whatever.
Yeah.
But also a place where they could find help, social, and also getting some life, basic life things, like food, clothing, and all these things. So that means that always the house of God was a place where people could find things. That means that God was centered in their life. And if I look at these days, what is happening? People are coming to church, and those of us who go to church, we go to church and we're trying to help people. We're trying to build in the same thing, the same values.
Yeah.
Because if you look at the way the country was then, I mean, if I talk about a country, I could take like England and Holland, as examples, because you see how they were built and how their faith, but also their countries to how you call it, blossom.
Yes.
You see, because it was built on, principles of God.
Yes.
But nowadays, because we became modern, very, we go with technology and everything, so we think we're always, I mean, even the world are thinking that they know more than God.
Yes.
And also you see, people before, the way was that, and God also reminded Haggai on those principles. If you see what he's saying, you're building your nice paneled houses, and your own house, or my house, lies in ruins.
Yes.
So that means that people are looking for their own, forgetting that God is the provider. God even gives life, He gives abilities, He gives gifts, He gives talents, He gives everything.
Now, let me come here. What really is the role, or which role is the church playing now in terms of awakening these values which we've had, which was there from the beginning? Has the church become inward looking, or is the church outward looking? For example, you mentioned those in the church was a place of refuge. People would, people had the church at the center of their lives, and even in those days, the churches sent missionaries out to other parts of the world to preach the gospel, but also to bring development. You see, build schools and build hospitals and stuff like that. Now, what is the church doing today to make an impact on society? What has changed?
I think that the view of the church changed. It changed because of what you're saying right now, because we had some bad experience with a church that sent churches out and start building places, So that means that a lot of us have a bad taste concerning those things, because we believe that the denomination who did it wrong. You see? And that's why I believe that unconsciously we go into something else.
What did they do wrong? Which denomination and
Okay, because I don't want to call names.
No, don't mention names, but just explain.
They use the church, they say, to get people to their sides, to get influence in their country, to get people, doing things in such a way that's not biblical. You see, so there are a lot of things that's why, the denominations are afraid, to have that name. Now we have some denominations are doing this.
No, but what is wrong with a church going to build a school or hospital?
No, but there are side effects. The side effects people look at.
What are the side effects?
Like abuse of children and all these things.
No. Those ones are excesses which, you know.
No, but these are the things that people are talking about. If you look at, what I'm saying, there's unconsciously people reject those things because of these motives. And these motives are not said, it's a quiet communication.
But that's notwithstanding, we know, I mean.
That's another topic, but what I want to say is this, you know, that you asked me why it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
First of all, you know.
No, because why I'm bringing this point is that, look, the Bible, Jesus clearly said we are supposed to be the salt of the earth and the light of the world. In other words, we have a critical function to perform in society. All right? It says a light that is, we don't light a lamp and put it under a bushel. It must be out.
Yeah.
So it can show people what? The way. So our deeds must be what? Outstanding. So why are we not that light now?
I think
than other churches were in the beginning?
I think we're fairly
we have changed. We have changed or not?
The thing is, like I said, the heart of men are drifting away from God. And as a matter of fact, even in the church, you see that people come to church with different motives. And the motive is to make wealth, the motive is to get from God. But the part that we have to play as children to God, or worship God, serve God with all our heart, our strength, our mind, our finances, everything, is not there.
So who raised those people who are acting this way?
Who raised them?
Yes.
This is the work of the ministers. The ministers have to bring the awakening. So now what
and the ministers and the parents.
Yes. So
because there are people here in Holland today who don't believe in God. They don't go to church. They don't care anything about God. So who raised those kids? There are people who were even baptized when they were young.
Yes.
And today they have no connection with God. That's an example. Today we are raising also people like that all over the place, even in Ghana where I come from.
Yeah.
People who don't know God, or don't want to have any connection with God. Who is raising this generation?
And that is why our voice must be made heard. That people should know that we are going astray. And the more we go astray, the difficult it becomes for us. When we go astray, we are not with God. Things will not be easy. The more we come closer to God. So it's about time we all turn back to God and ask God to show us His will, so that we will do the will of God. And I believe when we start doing the will of God and the purposes of God, things will change.
Pastor Eddie, maybe I need this question. He had answered it partly. Maybe you can also add something. How does one's faith help in a crisis like this?
You see, that's the thing. We think that, you know, faith is altogether, but I think that we all live according to the measure of faith we have for certain things. Because I don't believe that if I have faith for everything. I can have faith in things that I'm being confronted.
I don't know why you can make it a bit less theological, so that the average person listening can understand what you're trying to say.
Okay. Let me say it more straight.
Yeah.
I can have faith to go to work, but I cannot have faith to believe God that He will provide for me if I give my tithes, if I give my offerings, if I live according to the principles of His kingdom. And because when it comes down to money, nobody has faith.
Has what?
Faith.
Has faith.
Some people
What
have.
do you mean by having faith when you give to God?
So what I'm trying to say is this: that people come to church, and they want to receive
from God.
Okay, and when they're gonna give, and when they give, what do they give? Do they give according, like the lady that gave of her little bit, but she gave the most of everybody. She gave in the eyes of others a little bit, but God said she gave the most. So how we are measuring today? What is our measure? And that's what I'm saying. You see, so if we go back to that faith, if we go to that faith,
you mean a relationship with God, a solid relationship with God. If we go back to that, what's going to happen?
Yeah, but
then God will open the heavens.
Okay,
God can bring the ten around.
Okay.
It is God who is
It is
going to
God
do
who's
it,
gonna do that.
and it's
Yes.
not the government.
Okay.
We are depending more on government, and everybody's trying to apportion blame and depending on somebody. But it's about time we all come together and depend on God,
I
trust
like it.
God.
Good morning. Yes, sir. Yes, I'll go. Go ahead. What is ugly?
Yeah.
Who are demanding? Everybody. Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
So what do you think should be done? How can we change
First
the
of-
situation? How should we change people's thinking now? Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, sir. Do you agree with what you said? I think there has to be a change of mentality. People, the mode in which we are always like to take, but we don't even believe that we can give even a little in order to make a difference. Isn't it? Okay, a last word from you two.
My last word is, if you find out that things are not going well with you,
Yeah.
go back to your Creator. Use whatever He gave you and follow His principles, and you will never lack, no matter recession or not. So if we all can get back to God and follow the principles of God, obey them very well, I believe strongly that these things will not affect us, and at the same time we can be the light and the salt God wants us to be in every society we find ourselves.
Pastor Eddie?
Well, I think there has to be a total change of mind. And the change of mind is this, that if we can think like God thinks, we won the battle.
If we can think like God thinks, how does God think?
That's what he's saying. Isaiah 55, verse 9 and 10. He says, my ways.
How is it?
Amen.
You see? So we have to download his thoughts. You see, and that's the thing. I think we're battling too much with the possibilities we have, not looking at the possibility of the impossibilities that we've confront and know that God has the possibilities.
Yes.
You see, so with that, what I'm saying is, being in church is not a solution. Walking according to some things that we think make us Christians, that's not the solution. It's finding God's mind.
God's mind.
If we find God's mind, you see, and that's finding God's mind is reading His Word, meditating on His Word, and He says He gives us, in Joshua says, and we will have good success.
Anyway, I believe there's still a lot more to get into this topic, and I really would like to take it further. I want to thank you, gentlemen, for taking time out to be here this morning. Thank you so very much. The Lord bless you. And listeners out there, thank you for your participation as well and your interest. Stay tuned. We'll be coming to you shortly with a very important program. We're going to be talking about racism and whether it's gone or it's still here. We would like to have your input on that as well. Please stick around. We'll be back shortly.